Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Rotation, a Minnesota RØKKR CDL themed, centered around whatever you want to call it, podcast that we do here on the RØKKR YouTube, as well as any podcast platform where you can listen to podcasts. Welcome. Oh, I got some echo. I'm sorry about that. Rookie mistake. Listen, I've been doing this a long time. Trust. I know what I'm doing. But anyway, my name is Ashley, aka MiDNiTE. I'm here as always, joined with Kingdom. And this week we have a special guest. We got Coach Saintt, Brian Saintt, on board with us to just chat, chat the latest roster mania, how the team's feeling going into stage 4, and then hopefully champs. And yeah, it should be a good time. Brian, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Heck yeah. How were scrims today? Did we win?
We did not.
Well, okay. Hey, I love the honesty, though. I love the honesty. That's not what scrims are for. The scrims aren't for winning now. They're for winning later, right?
Yeah, ideally.
Ideally. That's the way we want it to work out. But yeah, we're going to kind of start off. I think we should recap the break, right? I don't know, what I was thinking, but I wasn't anticipating such a long break between the end of stage 3 and the beginning of stage 4. What was that break like for you guys? Obviously, we had not the finish we wanted during the stage 3 major, but kind of what were your takeaways from the stage 3 major, and then obviously going into the break? How's everything been?
Yeah, with the break, it hasn't felt like really long because I think it's like 3 weeks in total from when the Toronto event ended and to when the matches start up later this week. But yeah, we've kind of just been back at it immediately after. I think we had 3 days of downtime after the Toronto event, and we've just been playing every day since then. We had one off day when we went out for Eli's birthday, but outside of that, we've just been playing every day. So it hasn't felt like too much of a break for us, I would say.
Let's go. Maybe it's just felt like longer for me because I'm there are no matches to predict.
I also didn't talk about the event.
Yeah,
but yeah, what I felt like went wrong was mostly our S&D. We make a lot of fast rush plays in search, and I feel like at the event or just on LAN in general, constantly playing aggressive in search isn't going to be too consistent. Yeah, we can have our quick rounds that we're confident in, but we need to actually throw in some more looks where we change up our tempo quite a bit when it comes to LAN, especially. We can get away with a lot more fast plays online, since I think teams are a little more careless. But yeah, we just didn't really have too many spreads and confident play calls, especially in the LAT series. And I think our S&D is really what bit us the most because our hardpoint was really good all stage. We at least went 1-for-1 in every series that we played in, except for the Toronto series. We got 3-0'd, obviously, but hardpoint was really good. We lost 1 control all stage as well. If our S&D didn't really falter at the event, I think we could have easily made a run to top 4.
Yeah, and that was kind of like my... Oh, go ahead, Kingdom. Sorry. I know we've got a little bit of a delay on the Discord here with when I start talking and when Kingdom tries to talk, so he's definitely not interrupting me. It's just the internet, man, the internet. But, Kingdom, what were you going to say?
Well, no, I was going to say that, of the top 10 players of the whole stage, there were from only a few teams. There was, 3 of them from the Surge, 2 from Ultra, 2 from RØKKR, 1 from FaZe, 1 from NYSL, and 1 from Optic. And I believe it was Attach and Havoc, maybe. But you guys had a really good stage. When you went to, when you left the event after not placing how you wanted to place, one of the things we've talked about on the show is consistently, is the biggest difference between the RØKKR and a lot of the other teams is not their win percentage. It's just RØKKR haven't gone far enough in these lands, and picked up enough matches and just played enough. But did you guys leave feeling like we learned a lot, we were successful, or were the guys, heads hung a little low based on just not placing how they wanted to place in the major?
We definitely didn't feel too successful. That's for sure. We were proud of how we played online, but we definitely let the event get the best of us. Search, as I said before, was a huge issue for us at the tournament, and that's the main reason that we lost, in my opinion. We definitely should have taken the LAT series. Even without winning any of the search in that one, I feel like we still should have won it because that Berlin hardpoint, Dylan was absolutely going crazy, and we just threw away forgot what chills it was, but there was 2 that we kind of threw away pretty bad in that match, and it should have just been like a super winnable map, especially with how Dylan was playing.
Yeah, that was a tough map. Lots of just momentum lost maybe right there, because yeah, you guys were looking so good going into the LAN itself, and then yeah, to not get where you want to go on LAN is tough. But I mean, it's crazy because I was gonna say, you know, RØKKR has definitely been known for search and destroy for such a long time, so it felt foreign to watch us go on LAN. And even obviously we went 5-0 in quals, so like that we were sitting pretty, right? And then to watch us go on to LAN, we're winning map ones. I'm like, oh my god, who the hell are these guys? Like, this is awesome. But then we lose it a little bit in search. Just if I could like be a little blunt, like, what do you kind of attribute that to? Is it as simple as just, oh, they focused more on respawn, so then they lost their touch on search, or is it literally just other teams adapting, or what do you kind of chalk that up to?
No, I don't think we lost our touch, because even like in our practices now, like the good practices we have currently are like the ones where we're playing, you know, like best of 11 series where we're playing all game modes, and our search and our controls are still looking very good in those. I think when it came to the event, that first series also being super late, I feel like it didn't help us because we're kind of just sitting there around all day. I feel like we got in our own heads a little bit and just overthought what to do in S&D going out of series, because it's always hard to play a team for a second time around. And LAT especially haven't been the greatest search team, so we didn't really know what to expect going against them. You know, going against like teams like Toronto, Atlanta, Seattle, Optic, you can kind of get really good reads on how they like to play certain things in S&D, and we just didn't really have good reads on LAT since they didn't really have too many strong S&D maps they played leading up to that tournament.
So, Brian, you've played COD yourself. You've played professionally. You've played in a LAN environment. You know, this year, this other team, you know, FaZe has had a lack of success when it comes to LAN. They just have not been able to get wins, you know, and it's obviously getting to them, all the boos and everything, being big villains and all that. Is there anything about the LAN environment this year that is categorically different, or is there, because it seems like there's some teams that just are impacted by it, or is it just like MiDNiTE mentioned this last week or 2 weeks ago, like she hears a lot like, we got to do it on LAN, we got to do what we do in practice, we got to do it, like, what is it that prevents teams from translating what they do online to LAN? Because I know these are all skilled players.
Yeah, with this game, I feel like the level of competition is just so high, and with how few LAN reps you actually get, you just have so few chances to actually like go out there and do it. I mean, we started in losers round 1 at 2 of the majors, where it's just, you know, an automatic one or done in that scenario. I mean, even started with like the kickoff, we got like a bye round 1, so the first team that we played had already gotten to play a series on LAN on Vanguard for the first time, when we were kind of just sitting there watching. Then we go into major 1, we're in losers round 1, end up winning that first match, but then, you know, we have a second match the same night, 6 hours later, kind of fatigued at that point. Then we go into our own major, have to play Optic losers round 1. It's just hard to kind of catch a rhythm when you're playing so little series on LAN throughout the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, that's how it's kind of been so far. But now we turn the page a little bit. All right, we're headed into stage 4. We do a little bit of a state of Minnesota RØKKR, and what like better person to have on for this segment, right? Right now it is do or die time. Obviously going into stage 4, that is the last stage before champs. You need to be top 8 out of the 12 CDL teams to make champs. And we are currently sitting at 9th. But if you do look at the middle section of the standings, everything's super close. This could still go anyone's way, really. It just matters, you know, how these teams perform. We're literally 10 points behind LA Thieves, 15 behind Gorillas, bump up 5 more. Hey, we could be in 6th place, right? Like, so it's going to get dicey. I think this stage is obviously going to decide a lot. So, I mean, Saintt, right from the source, state of Minnesota RØKKR, how we feeling, right? How do you look at kind of stage 4 for this season?
Stage 4, I mean, it's kind of do or die for us. We're being like really critical on ourselves right now, especially in practice. We're just trying to hit the best form we possibly can going into the stage, just especially due to how important it is, because I think our first week of matches, is definitely our hardest throughout the entire stage, where we have both Optic and Florida. Don't know what to expect out of Optic right now, because they haven't been playing a ton, but they're always going to be a strong team, just with the skill on that roster. And Florida, rumored to be making some changes. They're just a complete wild card right now as well, and they're always like a hard team in matches. I feel like no matter like what the scoreline is, they're always going to put up some sort of a fight. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be absolutely crazy. Oh, sorry, Kingdom. We're stepping on each other because of the Discord delay. But what were you going to say?
No, I just say that's a good call. Like, honestly, Optic just announced like an hour and a half ago that Prolude's coming back in for Illy for this major, and I don't know if he's going to be there for the LAN. Who knows? But they're already in champs. Like, me and Will were talking about, producer Will, we're talking about it before the show. It's like they're already at champs. Why risk Illy? And then have another 100%. Zoom up situation. He's a superstar in this league and a great IGL, and is going to be needed at champs, period. And so you guys have to go into that, and maybe if the search vibes come back, that'll be a great match, with Prolude coming in, with the back and forth of the roster, Illy coming in, going out, maybe they'll lose a step, in that regard, and so maybe the RØKKR can take them. But the Florida piece as well, it's like they're making changes, so how do you even prepare for that match? You don't even know what roles are going to be.
Matches
right?
like that are always so hard to play. Like even the Optic match, I mean, you have 3 players who have zero pressure on them because if they lose, whatever, they have a sub, they're already qualified for champs, this and that, they're Optic. And then they have Prolude, who is playing to perform well enough to get a spot in the league next season. So I mean, matches like that are always really hard ones going into, because you never really know like how to truly prepare for those.
Yeah, it's hard. And the thing that's interesting, and I know we're going to talk about the next major and chasing champs and all that, like seeding is also going to now be the important thing for these top 6 teams that kind of they're almost assured in a way. I think Boston could get bumped out, but it's going to be really hard. But it's like, if I'm the Surge and Optic are bringing in Prolude, I'm going hard to try to get that 2nd seed.
100%. I feel like only the top 4, top 5 are even locked in right now, because I mean, Boston even with safe. 2 wins in their league matches, like they're still in a pretty rough spot, to be honest. Like they're only 20 points ahead of like the 10 spot, which is tied the 9-10 spot, which is like where us in Florida are right now. Well, maybe they're only 20 points ahead.
Good call. You're right. I think it may be just Ravens and up, and I mean Ultra aren't even super safe, in terms of their seeding. They could get bumped down to 8th, Now they seem to be playing better, but I'm interested to see. This is going to be, we keep talking about it every year. It's like this last major before champs is always crazy. Now, is it true, Brian, that like rosters for this are it? But if they're going to bring Illy back, then it can't be locked yet, right?
He's already signed to their roster, so they'd be able to bring him back. It's kind of, I think it's just a matter of people that are signed to your roster going into like the major.
Got it.
And just for people who might not know, so the rosters that are set for stage 3 are the champs rosters, or at least like whoever's on the bench and whoever's on the lineup are there. So I said stage 3. Sorry, stage 4 is what I meant.
Yep.
True. Okay. True facts. Let's go. So I mean, I think going into this weekend, when we're looking ahead here and we're checking out the fight for champs. I don't know, the producer Will put that in the run of show, and that just sounds so epic. Obviously, the standings are super, super close. We already kind of looked at those. You mentioned, Brian, we've got a tough first weekend here. We're playing Optic Texas and the Florida Mutineers. So, if we're looking at kind of the future here. Oh, this is for the turn. Yeah, what? Let's go. Look at these matches this weekend. Yeah, producer Shannon's on it, bro. She's already switching to things. She's reading my mind. We play, dude, we're the marquee match. Let's go versus Optics Saturday, June 25th at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's 5 Central for all my Minnesotans. Let's go. Dude, so coming back into kind of Major 4 or Stage 4. I guess they call it Major 4. Why was I calling it Stages? Is it called Stages anymore?
You can call it whatever you want.
Yeah, you can call it whatever.
Okay.
Their stages, but at the end, it ends in a major.
Yes, it ends in a Major 4 qualifiers online for the major. That's on LAN. So we play obviously Optic, and then on Sunday we play Florida. Brian, I know this is a tough question, but if you're looking ahead here, are these like in your mind? Are these must wins? I mean, just based on where we are in the standings,
No,
or is this
they're definitely must wins, especially the Florida one, for sure. Going 2-0 this week is huge for us, just due to like momentum building as well, and kind of just putting more pressure on the other teams, because some teams that were around in the standings play each other this week, so one team's guaranteed to win those, one team's guaranteed to lose. So going 2-0 and getting tied with those teams, or even maybe potentially getting like 10 points ahead of one, just puts a lot of pressure on them. The Florida match for sure is a must win since we're tied with them in the standings. Also, getting a win over them would secure us to have like the head-to-head tiebreaker over them as well, because we only played them once this season. We won it 3-1. If we go out and we win another series against them, it puts us in a really good spot because we're able to tie them in the standings and get a spot at champs over them.
Good point.
I think even this whole weekend is important.
Yeah,
for there's a lot. There's a lot.
There's a
lot.
The
LA Thieves, if they can catch a nice L to Atlanta and maybe lose to Boston, that's good for you guys. If Boston loses to Optic, that's good for you guys. Like if New York beats the Gorillas and Ultra beats the Gorillas, that's good for you guys. Like there's a lot of scenarios.
A lot of huge stuff going on. I mean, the LAT Boston match, like I feel like that one just doesn't really matter. Like either of those teams losing is good for us. So whoever wins it wins it. But yeah, all those other matches are crazy. Thieves losing to the FaZe would be big. LAG losing to New York would be big. Like a New York 2-0 week is really, really good for us. That's what you want to see the most. I feel like. True.
You guys are rooting for the GOAT.
Dude, let's go. NYSW for life. Come on. Dude, that's a money match too. Sam, maybe this is maybe a player question. Do you guys care about the what are they called, the bounty matches where there's a little bit of prize on the line, or is it you just?
I mean, it's definitely nice, having the extra 10K on it, but it doesn't change anything, especially with how big the stakes actually are right now.
Yeah.
With champs looming around the corner and how close everything is. I think the 10K is kind of the last thing on our mind going into those matches.
Sure, yeah, it's all about
except
the points,
for the New York boys.
No, I mean, hey, New York, if they start out hot, they can pull off a miracle. It can happen.
I'd love to see that happen.
But yeah, they're in a rough spot. They need to actually have an event winning stage, I would say.
They would need to crush qualifiers and I think win the event in order to qualify for champs. Unless
that would definitely get them into the event. I feel like if they have a killer qualifying stage and actually go on the win. If they get 4 wins in the event win, it's 105 points. I'll put them at 175. Yeah, I feel like that's a safe number that would lock them in.
I'm for sure bad at math, so I can't say for sure or not if New York Subliners will not be at champs. But hopefully RØKKR will be. I believe, man, we fight. One thing I will say about this team, and it gave us a ton of hope, obviously, last stage with the 5-0 qualifiers, and I think, watching the guys play on LAN, you see them improving in the respawns, and so you kind of feel like there's been progress in the things that we struggled with, right? Like the qualification matches, respawns. Now's the time for it to all come together. And speaking of come together, let's talk rosters coming together. A little bit of a roster mania here. It's like a mini roster mania, I'd say. No huge shakeups. We are going to only talk about confirmed rosters, no rumors. Brian Saintt's lawyer was very strict about that.
He was on my ass.
Yeah, it's literally just us deciding to talk about confirmed stuff. So, obviously, the confirmed changes we have right now, Gizmo, Neptune, Vivid. We've got people moving kind of all around. Look at us, man. LAG, bro, they put out the graphic. They got Slasher. They got Spart. They got Neptune. They got Hook. That's actually kind of a nasty team. I love Asim. I think he's great. And I'm gonna miss his hype on stage is no other. But I actually think this squad's nasty. Brian, what do you think about the moves that LAG made here?
It's hard to tell with LAG right now. It could end up being a pretty lateral move, but They need to try something for sure. I mean, and when we practice against them recently, since they made this move, they seem pretty good. Like we've been pretty back and forth against them in practice. So I mean, we'll see how the change pans out for them in matches. I don't think they have a easy schedule this stage by any means. I'd have to double check, but
they have a very hard schedule.
Yeah. So I think with this change, it really comes down to kind of how they start. They have to start out hot making this change, in my opinion, for it to actually work out well.
True,
so
you gotta
of all
have
the
a
purple teams, this is the purple team that the Minnesota RØKKR would love to see not catching wins right now. So
yeah,
and to be honest, like I think lateral move, like you said, Brian, was kind of accurate. Like I look at this and I'm like, okay, these are great players, but each of them has had their own like drastic struggles on other rosters. With the exception maybe of Spark. But since the GAing of the weapon that he brought into play, like he hasn't been the same. Not that he's bad by any means. A seam for me, I want at champs, and so maybe him staying on the roster is a good thing for LAG. They can put him back in the lineup when they get to champs. I just would want that player on that stage. And I know Asim hasn't always been able to prove himself when given the opportunity, like what's happened this year on lag. But I think that's more with some of these attitudes. And I was hearing a lot of this talk from, I think it was the flank guys, I don't remember. But in terms of some of these players like Slasher, like Krim, like Clay, that really they can't play with anyone else that has any type of an ego bigger than theirs or that's going to try to be.
Yeah, it's hard.
Work. So
yeah, no,
I'm wondering how Neptune's going to work with Slasher.
Yeah, LAG definitely need to start out hot. I mean, the big reason they won Major 2 was their S&D. They clutched out a ton of series that tournament. They won like 10 S&Ds in a row or whatever it was, won a bunch of different Game 5s in their whole losers run. So that's not the most reliable way to kind of consistently win. Like, if you catch heat one weekend, yeah, you can go on a run. We've seen teams, with hot S&Ds on a weekend make a little bit of a run, but it's not like the most reliable for like consistent results, especially for like a 3-week long group stage.
Yeah, time will tell.
Yeah,
we'll have to see what happens. And then another move we've got on for Boston Breach, Vivid is going over to Boston Breach officially. I was wondering when they were going to make a change. I really was. I wasn't sure. It's Capsidal who Vivid is coming in for. I might get flamed for this take. Maybe it's just because I love his stage presence. And you'll notice I've actually said that about Asim too. But Capsidal, like, dude, I go out on main stage and Capsidal's there. I'm worried about getting chokeslammed through the table. Like, he's a beast. He's a beast in game too. Obviously, Vivid's very, very good, but he's kind of bounced around, at this point a little bit in the CDL. So I view this as a little bit of a lateral move. I would keep Capsidal instead, but obviously things weren't working. So I'd love to know, like, both your guys' takes here on Vivid replacing Capsidal on Breach.
This one's like really hard for me to say. I just need to see how like Vivid's pacing lines up with everyone else in that team. I do think this is probably a better fit for him than Florida was. But one of the bigger issues Boston had recently, since their struggle started, was how their S&D gameplay has progressed. I can't even talk right now. Progressed. They've been really lackluster in S&D recently, and Cap was probably their best S&D player, even during their struggles. And Vivid hasn't been crazy in S&D at this game. I know he's a big like 8s grinder for Search, so maybe it's just a proponent of the system he was playing in Florida, and kind of having to be like the bomb carrier or the player initiating a lot. But I just don't know if this is like a change that helps them enough in respawn to make it a big game changer for them. But then again, they could just be looking for a breath of fresh air, like a new honeymoon period to kind of get the spark alive again.
Have you guys when did this roster form? Have you scrimmed them or anything?
For some reason, like we never really scrim against Boston. Rarely, I say they're probably like one of the teams we practice against the least this season. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Things just never line up with them. Like a bunch of times we're supposed to play them. Like they had to cancel a couple times. I don't know. We just haven't played them a ton this year.
I'm interested in how you guys as coaches, when these changes happen, prepare to play teams.
It's weird. It's because when you have teams on your schedule for that stage, you're just not really playing them in general. So if you we can kind of scrim Boston, see how they're looking with their new roster, but any of the teams that made a change and we're playing, we're not really gonna know much about them.
You just play them when you get to the match.
Yeah.
So it's really about playing your game at this point.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
Interesting.
Yeah, especially
it's really
at this
interesting.
point in the year.
I heard a lot of people talking about Optic not scrimming certain teams and all that, but it's I guess it makes sense. You have to choose as a team who you're going to scrim based on how you want to improve, right?
Yeah.
My opinion on this is very similar to Brian's. I have a hard time calling it. It feels lateral. I liked Capsutal's presence. I liked what he did for their brand. I think if Boston can just freaking win a couple matches in qualifiers and then win at least one in the event, they're going to be fine to go to champs and really build on this. When I was in Boston for PAX, I went to the Boston Breach party, and that roster, those were cool guys, man. Like Cap and Nero both were really cool to meet, and I was joking with them about not being verified and then on Twitter yet. And then when I went to PAX, they had a thing where the Boston Breach owners did a panel, and to listen to how passionate they are and what they're building, there's a real future for the Boston Breach as a entity within the CDL, and as a franchise. Those guys are really trying to do something, and so I think Capsule fits that, but I also understand that champs is champs, and you want your players to want to stay on your team. You want other good players to want to come to your franchise. And so you have to win and you have to get to champs. It's not like a whole bunch of players are going to jump to Paris next year, even if they wipe their whole roster. There's players that are going to be like, nah, I'm good. I don't even want to play for that franchise because of that they're known for losing. And I love what Seattle Surge has done this year. They've changed the whole narrative on the Surge. And now that team looks like, wow, these guys are going to be frying for quite a while. If they can keep, Sib and Pred, that roster has a bright future. That whole franchise does now that things have changed. And so I think Boston is just trying to make a change because they haven't been able to figure out what to do.
They can't lose that champ spot that they were sitting pretty in the entire season. It's actually really rough for them too going into the stage because they arguably have the hardest schedule out of any team.
It looked really their schedule looks
they start out against Optic. Luckily for them, they can maybe catch them slipping since they're just starting to play with the Prelude again. They won't have too many days going into that. Then they have LAT, who's also in a position where they need to win, have been performing relatively consistently throughout the entire season. Then they have Seattle, who just won. Then they have LAG, who's also in a must-win scenario. Then they have Toronto, who's been playing great. This could be a really rough stage for them.
It could, and they could get bopped out of contention. And I think that's why they're making a change, is because they just need to. I like Capsule.
That's the main reason.
I agree with you on that, MiDNiTE. I like Capsule a lot. His personality. I like what he brings to the team. I liked him on the little ad they did with he's wearing the apron or whatever, and so we'll see what Vivid does. I mean, I hope he brings something. I think he fits here better than where he was, and so we'll see what he brings to the team.
Hey man, it's do or die time for so many teams, and that's what makes this league so competitive. I know we say it every week, but I gotta say it, dude. All of the teams in the CDL are so freaking good, man. It's honestly crazy. Couple other team changes here. Paris, John out, Johnny in. Just adding a couple letters there. I don't have much to say. They're not going to make champs.
They might be the best team in the league now.
You think?
I don't. No practicing against Paris. A lot of other teams have been saying as well. They have been crazy for some reason recently.
They're just having fun. They're losing.
Had 3 letters and they're just cracked.
I mean, in the past though, they were also never really bad in practice, even when their team just was never winning. But I don't know. The past 2 times we played them, they were coming kind of crazy. I can't lie.
All right, I got RØKKR versus Paris Stage 4 finals. Let's go. I'm manifesting that, baby. Let's go.
FaZe is gonna hate you for that one. They need a major. They're desperate for a major.
Hey, I think they're. I don't know. I'm surprised FaZe ain't make a change. No, I'm just kidding. I'm actually just talking sideways now. They're good for champs, so they don't necessarily need to. London, Harry out, Gizmo in. I fell asleep reading that. That's pretty crazy. No, I'm just kidding though. So they got Gizmo now. Gizmo's pretty nasty. I mean, I think he was on the lineup before, right? This is just kind of
back when they were having success. Then they took him out due to him going back to Europe. They never really specified the reason. They said it was, more like personal stuff. So he went back for a while. They brought in Harry. They're bringing him back in, kind of, trying to find their mojo they had at the beginning of the season. But I just don't know if that's what's going to work.
They're going to champs though, right? Like in your opinion,
they
Brian,
should.
Like they're safe. Like they're pretty safe, right?
At the same time, though, if they do have like a 1-4, like 0-5 group stage, they're gonna be like on the bubble going into the major. Right. Them actually winning that one losers bracket round 1 series at Toronto could end up being like their saving grace, to be honest.
True.
But yeah, I mean, they play us this day. I know we play them this stage. They start out with a match against Toronto. So they're only won week 1. Then they play Florida, another team needing wins. I mean, whoever wins that match is going to be feeling good. Then they play FaZe, and then they play LAG, who's also another must-win team. So I mean, I feel like looking at so many teams, like their schedule really is not easy because so many teams like desperately need these wins right now, and like a lot of them just match up against each other.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see how like the standings fall, because I think last year CDL used to do like a little bit of like I don't know if you call it a lottery or just like random picking of groups. This year it's different. You can tell that the qualification matches are based on seeding, which makes it kind of funny when there's a team like London or Breach who's kind of high in the standings, but they've been struggling lately. And then they get matched against, a hotter team that's kind of down more towards like 6 through 10. And then you see those matchups and you're like, holy cow, both these teams like literally need to win because the standings are so close. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't know, man, who's ever writing the script for this simulation, they're doing pretty good with the CDL, I'll be honest. It's pretty interesting to kind of look at the landscape of the matches that are coming up here in stage 4. So with that, anything else you guys want to say on rosters before we move to picking predictions and whatnot?
I'm curious. This isn't necessarily roster related, but I'm just curious before we move to, the kind of final sections of the show. Like, I did want to get Brian's opinion on like what's happening in challengers, and it sounds like, Doug Spencer Martin has become like El Capitan of challengers people. Dude. And like did a petition and had everybody sign it. Like, we're not going to play if you don't change the format. And I've heard a bunch of people speak on the format in general for champs, for challengers. I have my own understanding of the situation because I work in like marketing. And so I know that some of these decisions are business related, even though it's hurting the players and their potential and their futures. And so I'm curious from a coaching standpoint. Go ahead.
One thing before Brian gives his opinion, which I really want to hear, but I also want to contextualize this for anyone who doesn't know what the hell you're talking about right now. Doug Spencer Martin is staging a coup? What's he doing? Like, what? Give me the explain like I'm 5 quick, too long to read version.
I might not be the best person to explain while I'm 5, but basically they released the format for champs for challengers. And Brian, you correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. And there's only going to be 8 teams, but they're from all of the regions. So there's only, I think, 4 teams coming from North America.
That's bull, dude.
No, it's only 2 teams. It's realistically, it's only going to be 2 teams from North America because right now, with how it's laid out, it's top 4 in global pro points, which currently, I don't think is really too surpassable. I think for the most part, those are pretty locked in right now, and that's looking like it's like Toronto NA, like our academy team in the 4 spot, like Toronto EU, I think is also in there, and like one other European team. I think it might be like War. I think all of them have like a pretty big gap on the top 4. So from how like it looks right now, pretty much all 4 of those teams are kind of like locked in at champs. So basically there's only like 4 spots on top of that, and it's a last chance qualifier from NA, EU, APAC, and Latin America. And also what's to dive a little bit more into that, what's also like really shitty for the Latin American last qualifier spot is their best team came over to North America, I think. to play in the Elite qualifier for this last and final stage. They qualified for the NA Elite in this last stage, and since they qualified, they're not allowed to go back to their home region to play in that last chance qualifier. So the best team from that region isn't even going to be like going to champs most likely, unless they win the NA qualifier.
Seriously?
Yeah, and I believe that's how it works.
Oh my gosh,
bro! Like I knew like the very like tip of the iceberg on that, but
and then winning like the NA qualifier is like a huge long shot as well, because they're currently like 0-4 I think in the Elite, and then you have like the NA last chance qualifier is going to have like Clay's team, it's going to have
well everybody, because they have the only way to make it.
Literally everyone except for Toronto NA.
Yeah, if I'm Parasite, I'm like, hey, put me on a team. I want to try. Like, I mean, honestly, if there's only one team going, man, it seems like, and I remember, so the other piece to add in, Ashley, is that Doug announced on Twitter that he was going to go to another country.
Bro, he's going to Yanette's house,
take his whole team there. He said, I talked to Yanette, and she said I can use her house, and we're going to go to Mexico, and we're going to play there and try to qualify from another country. And then the league told him he can't do that.
Yo, I shipped them. Wait, the league was like, nah?
Well, no, because 2 players on his roster had competed in the NA Elite Series.
Whoa.
Oh, so they can't play in another country.
Yeah.
Damn.
That was the reasoning, apparently.
Well, I mean, it makes sense anyway. It's like, let somebody just go to another country and destroy their, because like you just said, the Latin American market has a free opportunity for someone to go over there.
You would see people doing that in Counter-Strike all the time as well, if that was allowed.
Crazy times, man. So do you guys think that they're actually going to change the format? There's been an uprising led by muscle tank top god Doug Sensor Martin. Do you think that they're going to be able to like actually make an impactful change, or is CDL just going to be like, hold the L this year, we'll figure it out next year?
Nah, it's really, I mean, I hope they're able to make some sort of change. I mean, I know a lot of them were saying, it should be 32 teams. I think 32 teams going to a Challengers Champs is a bit of a stretch.
That's too much. It's 16.
I think it should definitely be like a 16 team tournament though, for sure. Like 16 for sure.
CDL, call me. I'll 5 minutes, $5 million. I'll tell you what to do. 16 teams. You're welcome.
So I have to agree with Brian. And when I said earlier about the whole marketing standpoint, like it's almost like the G League of the NBA, complaining that they don't get enough coverage. Like the NBA could just be like, hey, we'll just not cover you. And
when you put it like that,
like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, honestly, that's Challengers. Now, I will say, I was looking earlier. There was a Challenger stream with 3,000 or 4,000 people watching it. That's great, for the EU. And so it's like, as Challengers grows, which it has a lot because it's produced a lot of players, but what happens? Cream rises to the top. All of their great players that would have fandom and have people actually watching these streams, they go play for CDL teams or they go sit on their bench. And so it's like if Standy was still in Challengers, if Paul X, if Capsidal, if like all these guys, like if they were still in Challengers, then heck yeah, like you'd be watching the crap out of it. Imagine Sib and Pred doing what they're doing on the Surge, but in Challengers, like, and so, or Mac or somebody, any of these guys, like, and so I think we've created a system where the best players are in the CDL, and if the CDL is deciding how they're going to use their finances and budget, because you add more teams, it's just more costs. That's more setups. That's more locker rooms, which I thought was hilarious at the last one. But that's more locker rooms for people to be in. That's like that's all space. That's money, And so I think the challenge they're having from the league perspective, I do think that Daniel or whatever the guy's name is that runs it, like he seems to listen. It just he's not public about his decision making, but he seems to listen and actually talk to his team and then come back with a solution that's like, oh, okay, that's a good compromise. So that's what I hope happens, is like, to Brian's point, I just hope there's some kind of a compromise. Even if they add 2 more spots, I'd be happy. Like just open it up at least and let more teams get in, because yes, it's the best market, but I understand what they're doing, because it's just like the World Cup in soccer. Like you're getting countries involved by having people from other regions be a part of it. So I guess I get what the league is doing. But yeah, it's hurting some people in their futures.
Well, it's tough too. And I'll be maybe not a popular take, Ashley, don't say it just like that, but there is a lot of entitlement that I've seen over the years from the Challengers players. I think part of this is also, 3 or 4 years ago, they were going to open land tournaments where there was like 200 teams, and they were able to really make their mark, if they showed up and played. And So for that to be, you know, downsized in a way, and then obviously like the champs, you know, version of it isn't. I think minimum it should be 16 teams. I don't think that's too much harder to do. I think NA should get the focus. I don't care. Roast me the rest of the world. That's where, you know, that's where the talent's coming up through at this moment.
I mean, shit. Yeah, I mean, at the Toronto LAN, I don't think any of the EU teams even like got like top 12 at that event. That was like super NA dominated. I know at like our event, it was pretty mixed in terms of top 8. You know, it was like 2 EU, like 2 NA that ended up qualifying for the Pro-Am. But yeah, at the Toronto event, NA teams were kind of just taking over at that one.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what they do. Hopefully next week we're talking about how they've added some slots and everything's going to be okay and we can all sleep at night. That will be what I'm looking for next week. And what I'm looking forward to now is the matches this weekend in the CDL. Baby, let's freaking go. RØKKR plays twice. We're going to get into some predictions. But real quick before we do, we are super excited to announce that we've got a brand new partner on the rotation.
Let's go.
PrizePicks. We're super grateful that they're supporting the podcast. I'm going to take a little bit to just tell you about who they are, what they do, and why you should check them out. PrizePicks is the easiest way to play daily fantasy for both esports and traditional sports. If you don't know how daily fantasy works yet, it's super straightforward. You can check out the games that are coming up and place props on players that are based on projections, like banging the over on the number on a Steph Curry points projection. Don't know why you do that, but hey. They've got Call of Duty, Valorant, Rocket League, and other esports. Plus, I'm definitely going to be hitting up some football games in the fall. I'm super stoked. The projections are posted a few days before the games happen, so you can always check props are available, and bam, super simple. Depending on how many over-under picks that I make, I could win up to 10 times what I. If you want to give PrizePicks a shot, please don't forget to use promo code ROTATION when you sign up for a match deposit up to $100 when you create a new account. You must be 18 to play daily fantasy on PrizePicks, and remember, play responsibly. Link will be in the description and all that good stuff. Big shouts to PrizePicks for sponsoring the rotation. Now, let's get into our predictions.
Yo, GG's on our first sponsor, though. GG's on
hey, first sponsor on the rotation. Round of applause for that. And a like on the video. Go sign up for PrizePicks, man. It's a good time. I was looking around on there today. I'm like, okay. I'm waiting for them to put the Call of Duty matches on this weekend. I'm going to go bet on Optic for sure. But either way here. So let's get into it. We got some predictions coming up. Usually how we like to do it, we're going to stick to this. We're going to go pretty quickly through these with the exception of picking one match to highlight per day. Obviously, Saturday and Sunday will be the RØKKR matches. And I think, honestly, the match we should highlight for Friday should be what? Ultra versus Gorillas? Is that pretty agreed upon? That's the fire match of that day?
Let me see the schedule. What day?
Friday. So
that NYSL Mutineers is gonna be a little spicy.
Oh, you have it here.
I mean, maybe I guess Subliners could play spoiler to what Mutineers is trying to do. And
I mean, they got to win like everything.
Roster change with Florida, right? So maybe that could be the one. But it's so hard to talk about that because we don't have a confirmed roster here.
Yeah.
F in the chat. I'm going to go ahead. I'll just get started here. On Friday, June 24th, we got Mutineers versus Subliners. This is a bounty match, extra 10K on the line, which is pretty cool. I got NYSL chalked, dude. I've got them chalked. I don't think they're going to make champs. It's literally mind-blowing to me that seemingly both Clayster and Crimsix will not be at champs this year. I think that's all but confirmed unless Subliners absolutely
yet.
What's that?
I said, don't count Clay out yet.
I mean, hey, you never know. I mean, he's got to appear on a team. I think Jake messaged me actually while we were doing this. The roster lock isn't until July 10th. So
yeah, so like right before the major.
Right before the major, basically. So we could still see a random Ponytail Clay appear and maybe play a champ. I don't know. That seems.
Well, I mean, he's still signed to the roster, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, yeah. I guess they're gonna wait till the off season to really maximize. The buyout that they're able to get and everything. I'm assuming. I don't know what we're talking about. Anyway, we will get into predicting the match, though. Florida Mutineers versus Subliners. Mutineers is in do or die mode, and as much as I really want them to lose, and we need them to lose, man, I do think they're going to take this matchup versus the Subliners 3-1. It sounds like they're going to have new folks on the roster with Dev Petty out. So it's gonna be kind of crazy to see that. You never know how it's gonna go, but I got Florida 3-1. Who do you got, Brian?
We play New York. We've practiced against New York a lot. Their hard points like really insanely good still. With them going into this, like it just depends how their mindset is going into the stage. In my opinion, like if they go into like their first week of matches, where they're like, okay, like if we go 2-0 here, like we can still make champs. I'm gonna lean slightly toward New York just because I don't know what to expect out of Florida right now.
That sounds good. One note to make before Kingdom goes here. Kingdom is the resident NYSW stan on the podcast, so I'm kind of guessing Kingdom Subliners. You think?
Yep. I'm gonna say 3-1 NYSW. I watched the No Pressure video they put out today. Their vibes are in a different stratosphere right now. You know, they went up against two tough opponents at the last event. You know, went all the way to round 11 against the Surge, and that was a hard L to take.
Yeah,
and
I feel like that definitely broke them that tournament.
Yeah, but Kismet is a star, dude. Paul X was one of the top 10 players of the stage, and so like I think they have something there, you know. And like Kismet's IGL abilities, and hearing Krim say out loud multiple times, I wanted Kismet to teach us. Like he's a good leader. I'm learning to listen to him. Like I haven't heard Krim say that. I don't think I've ever heard Krim
say that.
I haven't heard him say that ever.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and for Krim to be like, I'm gonna do my job, tell me what to do to another player, but then listening to Kismet and what he says and how he leads. And I watched Krim say, I want you to do this, and Kismet's like, well, what I'm worried about is us getting the bomb down and having enough players alive. Like he's willing to step up to Krim, and Krim's taking it. Like that's dangerous. So I'm gonna say playing against a team that we don't even know the full roster yet, I'm gonna say NYSL is gonna take this one 3-1.
Nice one. All right, we got Optic Texas. Dude, they're the only team where I read their name before where they're from. Maybe RØKKR, I guess. I just say RØKKR. But yeah, we got Texas Optic. That doesn't feel right.
That's weird. Don't even. Yeah.
Optic Texas versus Boston Breach. Boston Breach, obviously, we already talked about the team change they made. Texas is playing with a sub in Prolute in for Illy, who's healing his wrist? Or wrist, I guess? Finger.
His finger. Yeah, on his thumb, there's a bump.
Ooh, a thumb?
A bump. It's like a weird bump.
Like a cyst,
they had to drain. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really too up to date with the whole situation.
I want to see.
I've watched a lot of Optic videos on it. It's like the Zuma thing where it's like the more he plays with it, the more he gets irritated. Yeah. He tried to switch up how he plays.
Nah, you can't do that.
But then he plays worse.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like you don't want Illy to not have his gunny. So yeah, it's tough.
It's all muscle memory, baby. When you start messing with that, it's not good. Gosh, right. I say the match and then I go into a preamble where we start talking about something else, and I really did say and intend that we were going to go through these quickly. So let's get going. Texas versus Boston. Maybe I'm just feeling like the honeymoon vibes, but I think Breach could win this. Maybe that's a crazy take. I don't know if Vivid's going to be enough to pull Boston out of their slump, but Boston's in do or die time, and I'm just putting that, in their corner, even though it's versus Optic. I very, very rarely say that Optic's going to lose, Optic MiDNiTE forever, but I got Boston Breach 3-2. I think Optic's just going to not mail it in, but, they're qualified. Whoa. They got a sub. It's okay. What do you think, Kingdom? Who you got?
I'm going to say 3-1 Optic. I think they're still Optic, and Prolute was great, in a good number of his matches. I'd say more than he wasn't. And he's been around the roster long enough to where I think he'll find some success. He wants to show off because he wants to be picked up by a team, and that's his goal. He's going to keep playing. Like he got dropped from Optic and immediately was on a Challengers team, and now Capsule took his place on his Challengers team and he's back in the league, and I think he's going to do everything he can. I don't think I don't think the Vivid change was enough. 3-1 Optic.
I'm team top 4 all stage. If you see Optic in a match, FaZe in a match, Seattle in a match, Toronto in a match, unless it's against us, I'm going for them every single time.
Makes sense. Optic. So you're green wall this weekend for this match. Only for this match.
Well, for 50% of the weekend, yeah.
For Friday only, green wall Saints. All right, let's go. Let's go. Yeah, you gotta.
But I actually do think Optic take that series as well.
Man, I'm blasted. I'm picking Breach, bro. Maybe I'm just like obsessed with Zinni. I don't know, man. He's got something up his sleeve. We'll see. And then looking ahead, we got Toronto Ultra versus LAG. LAG fresh off a team change. We kind of talked about how we were kind of the sentiment here, at least on the rotation, is that Guerrillas made a little bit of a lateral move. Toronto looked really good at their own event, and I don't think they're going to stop anytime soon. So personally for me, I got Ultra 3-1 here.
Yeah, Toronto are just so good at S&D right now. And even last stage, I think they were like statistically the number one hardpoint team last stage. Like their hardpoint did a complete 180 from how it was before that, where they were like, I think the absolute worst the stage before, although they did, I think beat us that stage, they still had a worse hardpoint record than us. But yeah, I got Toronto taking it. I'm gonna go 3-0.
Woo!
I'm gonna say 3-2 Toronto. I think Nep and Hook and Spart are gonna run around like little cracked kids, and Slasher's gonna L trigger to the best of his abilities. And I feel like they're gonna have fun, and their honeymoon's gonna get them 2 maps, but they're not winning. I'll say 3-2 Toronto.
Yeah, it's gonna be super hard for them to beat Toronto in S&D. I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a super tough like new team first match.
Almost impossible. Yeah, they're just too good. Yeah, and
I mean, at the same time, like you never know. They subbed in Spart and they won 10 S&Ds in a row just without any practice. So
that's true.
True.
And Neptune was playing well in S&D and Challengers leading up to this stage as well. So you never know.
It's gonna be the Slasher factor, man. If they can work with Slasher, we'll see.
At the same time, the way Toronto plays S&D, I feel like it just completely like counters how teams and players play in like S&D 8s, and I think that like a lot of their players are players that grind like S&D 8s. So Toronto's play style, I think, will counter that pretty well.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask about that real quick. Like when a team makes a change and they roll S&D, right? I think maybe I'm blasted. You correct me, Saint. But if you bring on a new player, your first priority is to get into respawns and mesh the roles and mesh the player into the team. Is it safe to say that if a new player comes into a team, they might have a little bit of an edge in S&D because they will just play differently than the other team is expecting? Like maybe they're doing more random stuff?
Yeah, it's definitely very possible because the other team won't really have too much of a read, and if they prep like really well for the other team and the other team kind of plays how they have been, the other team can realistically play around them a lot more. And I know LIG is a team that will put in a lot of prep going into the match, so... But even then, like, Toronto's the one team, they're just so hard to prep around in S&D because they're
methodical, man.
They're so patient.
They don't slip. They do not slip in S&D.
Yeah, they're just always super on point in S&D, and like even when you prep against Toronto, it's just so hard to beat them in that mode.
Nice. Thanks for the insight. I was always interested in that, finding that out.
The insight.
The insight. Ow! Hey, man, I'll be here all week, baby. Let's go. So we got back-to-back Toronto Ultra matches. They close Friday. They open Saturday. Working the open to close shift. Shout out to all my retail and food service homies out there. But no, yeah, we got Toronto Ultra versus London Royal Ravens. Reverse the script of everything we just said. Yes, 3-0 for Ravens. For me, Kingdom, are you 3-0 too? Or I'm sorry, I meant Ultra.
I was like, wait, what? I'm not saying that.
That's crazy.
You put your hands down. You were like, no, I don't co-sign that. No, I got Ultra 3-0 Ravens. They're gonna kill it. Unfortunately, look at Toronto.
I think so, and it's a stature match. Like every time they go up against Zero, they're like, we're gonna smoke this other team because they are I forget what they've been calling Toronto recently, an EU roster. But
they are EU coach, EU roster.
Yeah, it's like Toronto. They're Canadian, but they're not Canadian. They're like people have figured out a way to say it. But whatever they call them, they're up against another roster that's similar, and they're gonna go hard.
It's EU versus EU, but NA versus EU at the same time. Crazy.
Yeah, I got Toronto as well.
You got a map count for it, or you're picking?
3-0 is like boring to say, but I feel like that one. I'm trying to like visualize what the maps will be. Okay, no, we gotta get through these a lot faster.
Yeah,
listen, I'll speed run every single match right now.
All right, let's go. Except the RØKKR matches, but we're not actually.
I don't comment on those ones.
Yeah, we're not gonna ask you to predict the RØKKR matches, so we'll power through. You got Toronto 3-0, 3-1.
Yeah, I'll say 3-0.
Nice. Write that one down, producer Shannon. All right, Subliners versus Gorillas. I have no idea what to expect here, honestly.
This is the grudge match. This stage, you got Neptune versus New York. I mean, I obviously want New York to win, just for our own points' sake. But I think LAG take that one 3-2.
I agree, but I'm gonna try to manifest that shit. I think Subliners is gonna 3-2 LAG. I really hope that happens. Please.
Same. That's what I'm calling. 3-2.
Please, COD gods. NYSW for Kingdom, the resident NYSL stan. Let's go. Love that. Optic Texas versus Minnesota RØKKR. Saintt, we will not ask you to go ahead and predict this one, but Kingdom and I will. Let's have fun. RØKKR 3-0. Saintt, we're the fucking best, right? No, I'm just kidding. No, I think I think when we're looking at RØKKR versus Optic here, I kind of made some points about Optic that I think still stand. I'm not saying they're not trying, but I just feel like I know Optic, like, if they're set, they're set. The only thing I guess, maybe Rambo's just not going to, like, stand for that, but I also know that he puts a huge weight on, the LAN events and then obviously champs. So obviously it behooves Optic to play well here, but I don't know, man. I love my kind of thing for all these matches this weekend is every team that has their back against the wall is going to show up, and that's what I hope happens. And I think that RØKKR here, we have to win this. We've got to do it. We've got to do it, and we've got to do it nicely. I think 3-1 for the marquee match here on Saturday. Optic versus RØKKR. RØKKR 3. Did I say 3-1? Yeah. Is that crazy, Kingdom?
No, man. This Optic roster is so scary, man. Like freaking. I mean,
I'm not scared. Saint's not scared.
Shotzi hasn't let up since he's gotten in this league, and he's just gotten better. Like he just keeps getting better as a player. The pro loot piece is the one piece where I'm like, that's going to throw them off a little bit. I hear how much Seth says Illy is really good, and he's very, very, very important to the roster. And he's so important. I think it'll throw him off enough. But Ray's a really good coach. He's not going to let them just slide. But I'm going to say Minnesota 3, and that's upset points, right? I'm going to say 3-2 Minnesota.
Yeah, upset points, Shannon. Let's go. LA Thieves versus Boston Breach. Lat versus Breach. I think Lat's got this. I don't want them to win. Man, I'm somewhere between wanting to manifest it with my prediction and also like having a brain. I don't know. I think LA Thieves got this. I'm gonna say 3-0. Is that crazy?
Not too crazy.
3-0 for LAT matches.
Just doesn't happen.
That is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it just doesn't
I feel like their matches are always kind of grindy.
They are. The ones they win, yeah, for sure.
True. They do have to grind, but I don't know. Maybe that'll change. Maybe they're like turning a new leaf, new stage, or tightening it up. They did pretty well last stage.
Yeah, they definitely turned up at the tournament for sure. I don't know though. I'm gonna go. This is a weird one for me. I'm gonna go. Don't know what. I have zero clue what to expect out of Boston right now, but I'm just gonna go Boston 3-2. Because sometimes LAT are always kind of like shoddy online. I feel like.
True. Yeah. Kingdom, who you got?
I'm gonna say 3-1. Actually, LAT though. I feel like they're in 8th right now. That's gonna be their first match. They could actually not. They could be tied for 8th if Minnesota wins their first match. Like by the time they play, they might be in a different position. And so I'm saying Nadeshot is doing something over there, kicking people, whatever he's got to do. He's like, yo, I'm engaged. Don't ruin my
right don't ruin my vibe, man.
And so like something's going to happen. And I think LAT is going to show up secretly. And remember, I told you guys this 2 weeks ago. I think they have the 2nd highest average placing in the league, which is ridiculous at the actual majors.
That is crazy, bro.
Including the Pro-Am, which is crazy. At the LAN events, I think they have the 2nd highest placing. And so, like, they just have been not doing the greatest during the qualifiers, and I think this is the one where they're going to step up.
We'll see, man. And then we roll into Sunday. By the way, Sunday for the RØKKR match, there is a watch party in Minneapolis. I'm going to mess this brewery's name up, but I'm going to try to nail it. All right. Sisyphus Brewing in Minneapolis. Say that. Sisyphus. Put the image on the screen. Bless, please. Thank you, Lord. I need help. How do you say that? Sisyphus. There we go. There it is. 712 Ontario Avenue West. Suite 100 in Minneapolis. Definitely check us out over there. I'm actually going to be there. I'm going to Pride that day. We have a booth at Pride, baby. Let's go. We're going to be next to the Minnesota Vikings booth, I believe, at Twin Cities Pride there in Lauren Park. This watch party is a pretty close distance. I think it's like an 8-minute drive or something like that. A little 20-minute walk, 20-minute walk over to the watch party if you're at Pride, or if you're not at Pride, just, hey, come stop by the watch party. It's going to be a good time for our match on Sunday. And shout out to producer Shannon for getting to that scene, because I randomly just brought that up. I did not tell her I was going to bring that up, and that's on me, Shannon. Producer Shannon and producer Will, they have
dynamic duo.
Yeah, they are the dynamic duo. All right, I'm going to go back to predicting the matches here on Sunday. Let's freaking go. We got Surge versus Legion.
3-0.
I mean, I was going to say Surge like 3-0 or 3-1, but Saintt came in just sideways about Paris Legion. He's like, dude, they're nasty. Like,
I'm trolling.
You are? Are you for real? You're messing with me, bro. I'm a Paris Legion fan now. Now that I know they're kind of nasty in scrims. Wait, do they still scrim?
That's every team does. Yeah.
Man, I wish Paris Legion would try harder. Not like the players. I mean, like as a CDL team.
3-0.
Like I don't want them to have this reputation where they're just, the players who don't end up on other teams end up in Paris. I hate that for them. I don't like that vibe. I'm gonna go with the bit here. Saintt said they're nasty in scrims. I'm going Paris Legion, bro. 3-2. That makes no sense. I'm putting my prediction points on the line, and if they win, I want like triple upset points. All right, Shannon. I got Legion 3-2 over Surge. It makes no sense. Don't talk to me. Don't at me.
I just got to go with the current top dogs here. And that's Paris Legion taking the 3-0.
3-0, bro. What? Yo, we're just beaming at this point, dude. It's
3-0 Surge.
No, Kingdom, you're gonna
Yes, I'm going against the vibes. Look, accuracy. They showed a graphic. Accuracy has the most S&D clutches in the league.
He does have the most clutches.
Like, this dude's actually living up to his name.
Seattle turns it back around at this stage after that match.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. True, I mean, that'll do it. Like, if they lose,
maybe they have a major hangover. And this is their first match of Major 4 qualifiers.
Yeah.
So man, go Legion, bro. I might buy some Legion merch. I need to I feel bad for them. Honestly, I want to root for them. All right, we got Florida Mutineers versus Minnesota RØKKR. I hate to say it, especially with Coach Saintt on the podcast. This is a must-win. This is a high-pressure match. We're currently tied with them in the standings. We need to get top 8. I will fight for this. I hope, bro. I'm sending all the vibes. Florida Mutineers versus RØKKR. RØKKR's got this. Honestly, I'm gonna say something crazy. 3-1. We don't want to go to map 5. Let's get it over with.
That is what the score was last time.
Hey, let's do it again. Let's run it back, Saintt. Let's run. I don't care who they got on their roster. I don't know who they're getting rid of, who they're bringing on. I don't care. RØKKR 3-1. Kingdom, who you got? We're not going to make Saintt predict this.
I'm going to say RØKKR 3-1. I think they're just a better team. Roster changes do something to rosters, but I don't think they're going to catapult Florida into like the stratosphere or anything. I mean, if it releases Skies and Wake, then maybe it'll make a change if they can consistently fry and do what they want on the map. But I think there's always been a missing component on Florida, and it's one of these I think they need a GOAT on their team. They need somebody with time and experience in the league, a veteran, and they don't have that. So
maybe like a person with a ponytail, or
that played for MiDNiTE and likes to scream on stage. Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah, he's got the cool glasses, the goatee. You never know. Yo, real quick, unpopular opinion. and I've held this actually just silently in my heart for an entire year. Skies and Wait can't be on the same team.
Ooh.
That crazy.
I mean, I think this season, depending on how it ends, will either prove or deny that.
It'll either make them or break them. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just they're great. They're great players. But I just feel like their role is too similar. Their pacing's too similar. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't coach a Call of Duty. I have no idea. But that's just my rotten take for the episode. There you go. Laid it out. LA Thieves versus Atlanta FaZe. Marquee match. FaZe is going to win this match. And I hope that they do for our sake, because we need LA Thieves to lose as much as possible so that we can play better. But I also just do genuinely believe that Atlanta FaZe is pissed. They have gotten second at what? 2 of the 3 majors? Or were they at all 3 in second? I'm trying to remember.
2 of the 3.
2 of the 3 majors, FaZe is placed second.
They just weren't at the Pro-Am. So yeah, all the majors.
Yeah. Bro, all right, we're going to settle this here and forever. You know what I'm about to ask, Kingdom? Saintt. Was the Pro-Am like a real tournament?
No, yeah, right? It definitely was. I mean, we obviously wanted to win it, but at the same time, like I think a lot of teams were still testing like their map pools that tournament. There was, I mean, we were kind of getting a feel for our new roster. New York honeymoon with their new roster. Optic had the fill-in, that was like on and off throughout the event. Like they played their first match with Illy and then brought in Jay Jenny right after. It was a weird event. For sure, and then I went to like the single limb bracket as well. It was definitely like a real event, but in the grand scheme, it doesn't really matter a whole ton.
Is it a real?
We used it more as like practice and like a temperature check for how our roster change was looking and like how we felt the trajectory of the team could go for there. We didn't really put too much stress on ourselves going into that event, is what I'll say.
But if you've won it, you'd be proud of winning it.
Yeah, right? I would. Yeah, I definitely would have been stoked.
Would that be a chip though?
Nice little prize pool on the line. Would have been, really happy with the progress we've seen. But if we're still going into the Major 4, 10 points out of champs, like I don't care.
Yeah, right. That's a good point. The thing I said to Ashley is that what made it an event to me is it had that unique component of having challengers teams playing up against pro teams, which we haven't seen since like MLG time. Like since the inception of the CDL, we haven't really seen that happen, and so.
But then
I saw the potential format for next year, and it looks like there's a lot more Pro-Ams coming. What?
They didn't even make the bracket, the Challengers teams.
Oh, I know. But,
or maybe
they got to play.
Was it
2 got to show off a little bit.
None did. Toronto NA was close, but they lost like the 3-way tie with Boston and Paris.
Hashtag not a chip. I'll die on this hill. I will take the L though. You guys both say it's a real tournament. That's just like your opinion, man.
Definitely more real than the kickoff. That is what I will say.
For sure, I could agree with that. We found common ground. I love that. Let's go. All right, what did I say? FaZe 3-1 LA Thieves. Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Sure. Let's just roll with it. My prediction for FaZe versus LA Thieves 3-1. Let's finish the weekend off. Kingdom, who you got here in the last match of the weekend?
I mean, I'm like Brian when it comes to this Atlanta FaZe team and Optic Texas. It's so hard to root against them, unless Optic is playing FaZe because they're their kryptonite or whatever. But FaZe is mad. I think the booing is getting to them, and I think if anybody wants to beat them at champs, like just get a crowd that's gonna boo them. Like it honestly affects the players, and I know Alec and Simp specifically have mentioned it in videos where like. It is impacting them in a way that they didn't expect, and they don't like being the villain. LeBron James went through that his first year with the Big Three, and then the next year when he stopped being a villain, won 2 championships in a row. And so it's like I think that FaZe is right there. I don't know if Brian would agree that they're still better than everybody as a team.
I mean, I feel like we practice against Atlanta like more than like. Any other team. I think if I like look back through like our stats from like the start to the finish of the season, like we probably scored the most against them and Optic. And just with how much, dude, like I could never pick any team against Atlanta. They're just so consistently insane.
Yeah, facts. I mean, Simp gave his top 3 tips today for getting better, and he said, "Get yourself a Celium." That team is just ridiculous. And no, the LA Thieves are not going to beat them. And so that's a good match for you guys, of course. Definitely, I'd say a 3-1.
It's a grueler. It's a grueler every time we practice against those guys. They just have so much skill on their team. Like even when they're kind of like out of form a little bit, like them being out of form will still beat like most teams in the league. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's gonna be tough for now. If they lose everything and win champs, they'll be fine, right? Like they will be 100% fine with that. We placed
without
top 2 at every major.
They can get four seconds and like a first place at the big one. Like you're A-okay with that.
Okay, let me ask you this though, Brian. You know, the dynasty talk has stopped ever since they haven't, because they didn't win this. They haven't won anything this year. If they win champs this year but don't win a single major, do you think the dynasty talk is going to come back?
Yeah, I mean, if you get like second 4 events and then win champs, like, I mean, you have to talk about the team. Like, if they're getting like first or second every, I mean, it's much harder in this day and age to be a dynasty.
True.
The talent is spread quite a bit more. Back in the day, I mean, Optic or Cole, you know, way back, the best team was just always able to get whoever they wanted on their team without any repercussions. Right. They're like, yo, we want this player. Okay, and this player is on our team within 24 hours. I think now talent's a lot more spread, and you'll just always see like a bit more diversity. Like as good as FaZe has been the past 2 years, there will always be some teams kind of able to at least like compete with them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. If they don't win champs this year, I think the dynasty
that could break them then.
Goes away. Yeah.
If they don't win champs, that could also break them mentally. It's gonna be hard for them to get over that if they don't.
100%.
If they don't win like one tournament this year.
So we're all in agreement. FaZe. Kingdom, did you say your map count?
Yep, 3-1.
3-1. Is that what I said? Dude, I can never remember what producer Shannon writes it all down.
Wait, they played at the tournament. That was an absolute battering. I got FaZe going 3-0 again in that series. I just think it's like a super hard matchup for LAT.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. Well, that was our predictions. Hopefully I'm correct across the board, and I'm still ahead in prediction points by the end of this whole thing. We're gonna answer a couple of fan cues. Do we have fan cues? I'm not sure if we have fan cues actually. I don't see any in the Discord here. Producer Shannon, blink twice if... Oh, we do have fan cues. Here it is. It's on the screen. What are your predictions for the gun meta of Modern Warfare 2? This is the hardest question I've ever been asked. What? The UMP, I guess. I don't know. What do you even say to that?
I don't even know what weapons are in the game.
ACR.
I have no idea.
I mean, I would hope the ACR is good. It's been good in like every game it's been in.
Bro, did you see in the reveal trailer they showed the ACR, which isn't a big surprise to the point that Saintt just said, but like
ACR is gonna be number 1.
ACR was that gun in Modern Warfare 2 competitive. For those of you who weren't alive then,
ACR, ICR, whatever you call it, whichever game it's been in.
ACR Red
MW3, that gun was.
Oh, I loved it in MW3.
Well. Yeah, I liked it a lot more in MW3. That was like, it was like my favorite gun.
Yeah, in MW3 it was OP as heck. Dude, the UMP 45, you put a silencer on that thing, bro, you could drop 20 in a pub lobby S&D. But yeah, my predictions, Silver. I don't know what guns are gonna be in the game.
Yeah,
I'm guessing there will be a submachine gun that everyone likes, and then there will be an assault rifle that everyone likes for the game. That's my prediction.
Well, generally there's just one assault rifle everyone likes at the beginning.
True.
And then after a little bit, there's an SMG that people start using. Games are like usually 4 ARs right when they first come out.
Dude, that's kind of crazy. Actually, I never really like saw it that way, but that is really how it works.
Yeah, it was like that in World War II for sure. Everyone, I think the bar was just like super OP right at the beginning of the game. Yeah, it was definitely 4 bars at the beginning of World War II. Black Ops 4, I think it was pretty much like all Maddoxes for a little bit.
So whatever AR...
I'm not 100%, but I do feel like it was super Maddox heavy at the beginning. Like people didn't even want to use the SOG because they're like, no, this gun's just way too good.
Dude,
what other games? MW, pretty much everyone just used the M4 at the beginning of that game. And
the Saints' prediction is it'll be an assault rifle that everyone uses, and then they figure out the sub meta, and
they'll figure out the SMG that can compare, and then once they learn the maps and the routes that they can take, then they'll start using that SMG.
Dude, mind blown. I had no idea. That makes sense though. All right, next question. Thank you. I almost said Friday, dude. It's definitely Tuesday. Yo, Noah. Shout out Noah. This is a Coach Saintt question. How much of an impact has Havoc made inside and outside the game for you guys, Saintt?
Definitely a ton. We picked him up, went 6-2 in our first stage in series count. Obviously, we didn't, get the placing that we wanted in the major, but we played really well. We played the best hardpoint we've played all year. We started winning game ones. Finally, it felt like we were never going to win one online. We could only maybe win them on LAN. But it was a big turnaround. Also, he came in, the team kind of got like a little bit of a honeymoon. They started vibing a bit more because we were kind of down in the dumps a bit before that. Also ended up getting really nice in Minnesota around that time, so we had more freedom to kind of go outside, hang out a little bit more. But yeah, he's been good vibes. He kind of brought a lot to our team when we first brought him in, offering up how he looked at the game and how his Texas Nation team looked at the game, and kind of just his general thoughts and play styles in the game. And I think we've implemented a lot of those. We still have a lot to work on to add consistency. I think our hard point can improve quite a bit. Our S&D definitely tapered off at the event, but as long as we keep it up and keep getting on each other's asses to improve, I think the Havoc change will be very beneficial when it's all said and done.
Let's go. Yo, Greasy Gang. Everyone, I think that's what he calls his Twitch subs, right? Greasy Gang.
That is what he used to call them back in the day. I believe he still does.
He better, dude. I remember when he came on, like he was on Twitch, like streaming Search and Destroy.
Oh no, he came over here, and I feel like he hasn't streamed as much.
Yeah.
A little undeady, if you ask me.
It's safe. When the weather's nice, you gotta turn off the Twitch for just a sec, but also don't. Is that it for fan cues, producer Shannon? No, one more. Swinter, anything pro or con to take from Major 3 to put into Major 4? So, what's your main take from Major 3 going into Major 4, Saintt?
The main thing is altering some of our S&D plays. We gotta add a lot more spreads in, a lot more defaults. We can't just, come in with these fast, aggressive rush plays around. It's definitely going to bite us in the ass on LAN. We got to keep improving in control as well. I know we went 7-1 in control last stage, but I think a lot of teams have been figuring out Berlin. Tuscan, we'll have those games where it just comes down to whoever gets defense round 5, and, you can't always rely on that. I think we need to improve our Gav control, which we have been doing for sure, just to be able to add it to our map pool. But yeah, teams are learning Berlin. We got to have a bit more flexibility with our control, with a lot of teams learning that map. And we gotta iron out our hardpoint map pool a little bit as well. It's just such a hard one for us to gauge. Even last stage when we were playing well in it, our hardpoint in practice was always kind of shoddy. None of our maps were really stand out like we won it every single time. We had a lot of flaws in every map, but we kind of just turned it around in all our matches when it came to hardpoint. So we got to see what we're feeling the most comfortable on in that game mode, and just get the same consistent situations from practices to matches. Because the one thing that does hurt us the most in some of the matches that we lost and some of the maps that we lost is we'll just get in this one weird scenario that just isn't something we routinely see in practice, because someone ends up going a little rogue on the map and makes some weird play that just puts us in this really abnormal situation. So right now we're kind of just making sure we do the same exact thing every single map, even if we're losing the maps, just to make things consistent and repeatable.
Hashtag don't be a hero, but also do, but also don't. Just, okay, consistency is key. I love the in-depth answer, by the way. I thought you were just going to be yeah, we got to just win it a lot more at LAN. Let's do that, which I think...
we have a lot of stuff we have to work on. Yeah. Our map counts were good last stage, but it obviously wasn't enough.
No, I love that.
And going 5-0 in the group stage too, there's definitely a bit of a target on your back.
For sure.
Teams see what maps you're winning, the few maps you've been losing, and they can kind of target you based off what your auto veto has been. So yeah, there's a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love to hear that too, because if there's any time of year to buckle down and really take a look at everything and give it your all, it's this time, baby. Everything is so close. We got one more fan queue. Yo, lots of fan queues this week. I think it's because
You
Brian.
keep saying one more, but then there's always
I
one
know.
more stored up.
I actually didn't know there. I don't usually I see the fan queues ahead of time. I didn't this week. But so yeah, we got one. This is the last fan queue. How about that, Shannon? I don't care how many more you got. Sorry, producer Shannon and producer Will. But no, hey, we got Arez Riley. Any special training before champs, or do we keep the same practice routine year long? I guess it's kind of a little bit of like a cascade off the last question. Like, what changes about the practice routine before champs, or are you just trying to keep it consistent with what you've been doing?
In terms of special training, there's not really much different, but I will say the practice routine is kind of always altering throughout the year. We just change like our outlook on things based on how, you know, some of our maps are going in practice and how they translate to matches, and just the team's never going to be the same day to day. You know, some days we're going to come in and someone's vibe's going to be a little bit off. You know, we're going to start making some different plays on a certain map. You know, the other teams in the game are going to start playing certain hills different ways, and always constantly adapting. So we always have to adapt our practice regimen as well. You know, trying new things, coming up with new setups. Just the way we start our days before our scrims, you know, like that hour and a half we have before that, you know, changing up what we do there, and in terms of whether it's nade training, reviewing different maps, reviewing other teams' maps. We kind of have like an altering style of practice until we find something that works really well. I think that's kind of how it was for us last year as well. We just couldn't really find like what worked out the best for us until we hit that major 5 timeline, and the 2 weeks leading up to that tournament. You know, what we started doing in practice then is what really clicked for that year at least, and it just got us into a rhythm where we're not losing ever for like a 2 week span. And the way we felt going into that major was like no one could beat us, and no one really knew it. Like we knew how good we were going into that major, and like I was texting my friends and my family like, yo, like this is the tournament, like we're gonna win. I feel it 100% in my bones. Like we are just that good right now, and that's what ended up happening. So we just need to find that hot spree again, because I think going in the lands, a big thing is confidence. I mean, sure, we won 5-0 in our group matches, but we weren't like the craziest team in practices. Our hard points were always, you know, shaky in practice, but we were just so consistent in, you know, getting rid of our bad habits come matches, and, you know, having such a consistent control, last split, and S&D that we were just able to pull things out. So yeah, it's finding what works out the best for us and just kind of hitting that, you know, hot streak, you know, quote unquote, like honeymoon type phase.
Love it. Always evolving, and yeah, I do remember actually like there was a different air, you know, about the team, you know, going into stage 5 of last season. I think in our episode of Saga, which if you haven't seen Saga, you guys got to check it out. It's on the RØKKR YouTube. Great docu-series. Obviously, I am biased because I work for the team, but no, it is great, and especially the episode where you guys won stage 5 was pretty cool. And even going into it, you could tell in the interviews. I think there was like a pregame interview RØKKR had posted to the Twitter where you were like, they're not, I can't remember exactly what you said, but you're like, they're not ready, or like, we're feeling really, really good. So I love that. Let's get those vibes back, baby. I believe in the dream. Final thoughts? I guess this is kind of a good like final thought moment. Final thought is to find the groove. I think I said it earlier, but you guys were able to find a bit of a groove there in stage 3. Now, if you're gonna get hot, like you were just talking about, Saint, at any point in the year, it's got to be now. It should be now, and I think you guys are primed for it to be now. So my final thought is, let's freaking do it, baby. Let's catch on fire. This is the best time to do it.
No, man. I'm thankful that Brian came on today. You know, I learned a lot, got a lot of insight, and I always wonder how coaches look at other teams and changes and trades and stuff. And it's
Yeah,
such a
super
hard
cool.
job. People blame you for the losses and give the players credit for the wins. You know, and so it's like
that is facts.
Part of the job, right? Like, and I get it. You know, I lead teams at work, and I want them to get all the praise for when they do something right, or we get somebody big or something like that, or a good deal. Like, and then when we have mistakes, I want the blame. I don't want the team to feel like it's their fault. Facts. I agree, and thankful that you came on though. It's been a good show, and I miss you, Icon. You know, if you're watching the shows, you know,
Icon, we miss you.
And,
yo, word on the street,
get you back in the future.
Icon's coming back next week. I mean, who knows at this point? But he said, "Yo, next week I'm back."
I'm excited to argue with him about Crim 6, and that'll be great.
We hopefully.
That's my final thought.
Maybe he was like, final thought is we miss Icon and we want him to come back. Allegedly, he's coming back next week. I'm so excited. All right, one last thing that I'm excited about, then I swear we're going to go. There is going to be a watch party this Sunday. It's going to be awesome. Shannon, throw the graphic up. Let's see her. Let's freaking see her. It's going to be at, I don't know how to say the brewery. Sisyphus Brewery. Sassafras. I'm not sure. Sisyphus Brewery, 712 Ontario Avenue in Minneapolis. Look her up. See us at the watch party when we play Florida, a must-win match. I'm absolutely stoked for this weekend. We got Optic, we got Florida, and we got the watch party on Sunday, June 26th at 3 p.m. Central Time. Get there. Don't be late. I'll see you there. We're gonna, have a little drinky poo and watch the match. We'll be cheering you guys on, Saint, from there. Saint, you are frozen right now on the screen, but it's okay. Nice one.
Well, your pose is nice though.
Hey, I mean,
it's a perfect profile.
Yeah, you kind of like
a
got
Twitter
paused
picture
on a perfect shot. Like your mustache is looking like majestic. Like you got the lighting hitting. It's going well.
You can see the shirt perfectly. Like ever had a dream or whatever it says on there. Like
Let's go. Have you ever had a dream? All right. I'm gonna go dream of RØKKR W's this weekend.
Let's go.
We'll let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching on the RØKKR YouTube or listening wherever you can listen to podcasts. Shout out to the Rotation fam and Kingdom. Thank you again for joining me. Saints, thank you for coming on this week. And my lights are off right now. I'm gonna go turn those on. So have a great night, everyone. See ya.